Joey Wheeler, the idiot with a heart of gold and master of the Red Eyes Black Dragon. It's been almost 2 decades since we last saw this raging Brooklyn beauty take to the field, and the game of duel monsters has changed tremendously since then. So today, we're going to be taking a look at an updated deck profile for this fan favorite underdog, exploring the cards that he might use if he were still dueling today. Now we all know that Joey's signature monster is the iconic Red Eyes Black Dragon, a card that he won in his second ever professional duel, which was against the regional runner-up Rex Raptor. Red Eyes became Joey's constant companion after that, and he'd never let go of his soul animal, so it's going to come in as the centerpiece of this profile. But Red Eyes has gotten a lot of support since the old days, so we'll give him some of the new cards that have come out in this archetype over the years. Cards like Red Eyes Alternative Black Dragon, Red Eyes Black Flare Dragon, Red Eyes Metal Claw Dragon, Red Eyes Full Metal Dragon, and Red Eyes Black Meteor Dragon. Red Eyes Alternative Black Dragon can only be summoned by tributing a Red Eyes monster from the hand or field, and when it's destroyed on the field or sent from the hand to the grave by an enemy card effect, it can special summon a level 7 or lower Red Eyes monster from your graveyard. If that monster is the original Red Eyes Black Dragon, it comes back with double the attack points. Red Eyes Black Flare Dragon is a Gemini monster, meaning it has to be summoned a second time when it's already on the field in order to unlock its effect. Once it has been, it can burn the enemy for its original attack points and damage when it's involved in a battle. Red Eyes Metal Claw Dragon is a monster retrain of the Red Eyes equipped with the Dragon Nails card used by Rex Raptor in its first appearance, and it facilitates the use of Metalmorph cards like the ones used in Joey's duel with Bandit Keith. This card can be special summoned by tributing a face-down card on its field, it lets the user play Metalmorph traps on the turn when they were set, and it lets you add a Metalmorph trap to your hand if you have max Metalmorph on the field or in the grave when it's summoned. Similarly, Red Eyes Black Full Metal Dragon is a retrain of Red Eyes Black Metal Dragon, and it also revolves around the Metalmorph cards. This card can only be summoned by using Metalmorph and using a level 5 or higher dragon monster as the tributing requirement. This card can be shuffled into the deck from the hand in order to set a Metalmorph trap directly from the deck to the field. Once per turn, when Full Metal Dragon is on the field, it can negate an enemy card effect and burn the opponent for the original attack value of one of their attack position monsters. And Red Eyes Black Meteor Dragon is the first of what we'll call the Red Eyes archetype swap retrain monsters in this deck. Back in the day, Red Eyes used to randomly pair off with a lot of other non-Red Eyes cards, particularly the ones that Joey just happened to be running in his main deck. So Konami went ahead and made a bunch of those cards Red Eyes monsters, cause why not? This one is a retrain of the old Meteor Dragon card that OG Red Eyes could fuse with. Red Eyes Black Meteor Dragon can be special summoned by sending a level 5 or higher normal monster from the hand or deck to the grave, and then it boosts its own level by 1. This makes it great for XC summoning off of one of the other level 7 Red Eyes monsters in the archetype and in this profile. This card can also be banished from the grave to add a Red Eyes fusion card to the hand. Red Eyes Baby Dragon and Red Eyes Archfiend of Lightning are also Red Eyesified retrain monsters, in this case being modern version of Joey's Baby Dragon and Yugi's Summoned Skull. When it's destroyed, Red Eyes Baby Dragon can special summon a Red Eyes monster and equip itself to it for a 300 attack point boost. If this card is sent to the grave while equipped to a monster, you can add a level 1 dragon monster in the deck or the grave to your hand. And Red Eyes Archfiend of Lightning is another Gemini monster, requiring 2 summons to unlock its effect, which allows it to destroy all enemy monsters with lower defense stats than this card. Red Eyes Soul's name becomes Red Eyes Black Dragon when it's on the field or in the grave. When the enemy special summons a monster, you can send this card from the hand or the field to the grave to summon another Red Eyes monster from your hand or deck. Also, once per turn, you can burn the enemy for the original attack points of a Red Eyes Black Dragon you control. If you happen to have the OG Red Eyes Black Dragon on the field, great, that's 2400 points. But if not, since this card inherits that card's name, Red Eyes Soul can still use itself to activate its own effect and hit the enemy for 900 points of damage. Not bad. Next up, we have Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, a card that has seen a lot of play over the years. It can be special summoned by banishing a dragon monster, and has the power to special summon other dragons from the hand or grave each turn, making it ideal for bringing out high-level monsters quickly and easily. And we have Black Metal Dragon, which can equip itself to another Red Eyes monster to give it a 600 attack point boost. It can also add a Red Eyes card from the deck to the hand when it goes from the field to the grave. There's also the Black Stone of Legend, which can be tributed to summon a Red Eyes monster from the deck. It can also be added to the hand from the grave by shuffling a Red Eyes monster in your grave back into the deck. Now we can start to get into some of the other fun Joey archetypes. For example, Joey used to run Gearfried the Iron Knight. But times have changed, and now we'll give him Gearfried, the Red Eyes Iron Knight, and Immortal Phoenix Gearfried. The Red Eyes Gearfried card can destroy a card that's equipped to it once per turn in order to either special summon a Red Eyes monster in your grave, or destroy an enemy spell or trap card. Conversely, Immortal Phoenix Gearfried can be special summoned by banishing an equipped spell from your field or your grave. When this card battles, it can equip itself with another monster on the field to give itself 500 extra attack points. It can also send an equipped card you control, including a monster that's equipped to itself, to the grave in order to destroy an enemy monster that activates its effect. And of course, we have a whole new archetype based around Joey's other ace in the hole, the Flame Swordsman. The original Flame Swordsman was Joey's favorite card back in the day, but it was a fusion monster that never really made sense or was treated as a fusion monster card, and Konami has done everything in their power to try to correct that mistake for 20 years. In this profile, we'll be running Fighting Flame Swordsman, Dark Flare Swordsman, and Metal Flame Swordsman. Fighting Flame Swordsman lets you add a spell or trap that mentions Flame Swordsman to your hand when it's summoned. When this card is sent to the grave, you can send Flame Swordsman or a card that mentions it from the deck or extra deck to the grave. Dark Flare Swordsman is currently exclusive to the Japanese OCG, but it's expected to come to the TCG later this year. You take no damage from battles involving this card. You can summon this card by sending Flame Swordsman or a card that mentions it from the extra deck to the grave, though you can only attack with warrior monsters for the rest of the turn. This card also has a quick effect where it can be tributed to special summon a card that mentions Flame Swordsman, so long as that monster is not level 6. And Metal Flame Swordsman can only be summoned using Max Metalmorph. Like Red Eye's Full Metal Dragon, this card can shuffle itself into the deck in order to farm a card that mentions Max Metalmorph to your hand. On the field, Metal Flame Swordsman gains 300 attack and burns enemies for 500 points of damage every time your opponent activates a card or effect. Then we have Mirage Swordsman, who despite its name is also in the Flame Swordsman family. It can be special summoned from the hand or grave if a face-up fire monster you control is destroyed. If this card battles an enemy monster, it automatically lets you destroy both monsters. If this card is destroyed, except by its own effect, you can special summon a level 7 or lower Flame Swordsman card or a monster that mentions Flame Swordsman from your extra deck. Supporting the Metal Flame Swordsman and the Red Eyes Metal Dragons is the Metal Illusionist, a sort of retrain of Joey's old copycat card. This monster increases its level by 4 during the enemy's turn. When it's summoned, you can set a Metalmorph trap from the deck, and if Max Metalmorph is in your grave, you can draw one card. This monster can also change its monster type until the end of the turn each turn. And rounding out our monsters, we have Salamandra, the Flying Flame Dragon, Sublimation Knight, and Gemini's Lord Ghoul Knight. Salamandra, the Flying Flame Dragon, is a retrain of Joey's Salamandra Equip spell. It can equip itself to a warrior monster that you control, and if that warrior is a Flame Swordsman card, it gains 700 attack points. And when this card is sent to the grave, you can add a Salamander spell or trap from the deck to the hand. Sublimation Knight can equip a Fire Warrior or a Gemini monster in your hand or deck to itself when it's summoned, and it gains 500 attack points when it does. If it's destroyed while it's equipped with a Gemini monster, you can special summon as many Gemini monsters from the grave as possible with their Gemini effects already unlocked. And speaking of Gemini monsters, Gemini's Lord Ghoul Knight is a card whose effect lets you add a spell or trap that mentions Gemini monsters in its text to your hand, and it can become a machine monster to gain 500 attack points. That does it for our monster cards. Moving on to our spells and traps, we have several fusion cards like Polymerization, Instant Fusion, Red Eyes Fusion, and Salamandra Fusion. Leave a comment if you don't already know what Polymerization does. Instant Fusion lets you immediately summon a card from the extra deck, but it can't attack and it's destroyed during the end phase. Red Eyes Fusion lets you fusion summon a card that requires a Red Eyes monster by pulling the necessary materials from your hand, deck, or field. As a result, the summoned monster's name becomes Red Eyes Black Dragon while it's still on the field. And Salamandra Fusion is kinda weird. It's an equip card that you can equip to a Fire Warrior monster to give it 700 attack points. This card can be destroyed in place of the card that it's equipped to if necessary, and if this card is equipped to a fusion monster, you contribute both to summon Flame Swordsman or another card that mentions it directly from the extra deck. So it's kind of a roundabout fusion card. Next, we've got some Red Eye support in the form of Red Eye's Insight, Red Eye's Fang with Chain, and Return of the Red Eyes. Red Eye's Insight sends a Red Eyes monster from the hand or deck to the grave in exchange for a Red Eyes spell or trap from the deck. Red Eye's Fang with Chain is a retrain of Joey's old Kunai with Chain card. This card equips to a Red Eyes monster, allowing it to make 2 attacks each turn. This card can be sent to the grave in order to force another effect monster on the field to equip itself to whatever card Fang with Chain was equipped to, at which point, the equipped target's attack and defense points change to mirror those of whatever monster it was equipped with. So basically, it's like Double Attack and Relinquished had a Red Eyes baby. And Return to the Red Eyes is a continuous trap that lets you special summon a normal monster in your grave if you control a Red Eyes monster, and if this card is destroyed by an enemy card effect, you can special summon a Red Eyes monster in the grave. We also have Salamander with Chain, which can equip itself to a fire monster to give it 700 attack points and force an effect monster on the field into set position. This card can be banished from the grave to fusion summon a fire warrior or dragon fusion monster by shuffling its materials from the hand, field, or grave back into the deck, but the summoned monster is destroyed at the end of the turn. Next, we've got our Flame Swordsman support in the form of Fighting Flame Sword, Flame Sword's Realm, and Flame Sword's Dance. Fighting Flame Sword is a quick play card that lets you choose from 3 different effects when it's activated. It can add a card that mentions Flame Swordsman from the deck to the hand, it can destroy 1 card on the field when an attack is declared that involves a Fire Warrior monster that you control, or it can negate an effect that targets a Flame Swordsman monster you control. Flame Sword's Realm is a continuous spell that prevents the enemy from activating cards and effects when you normal summon Fire Warrior monsters. Once per turn, you can send a monster from the hand or field to the grave to special summon a Flame Swordsman from the extra deck. Also once per turn, when an attack is declared, you can target one of your warrior monsters and decrease its attack points by 1,000 to give an extra 1,000 attack points to the rest of your monsters. And Flame Sword's Dance is a trap that activates when a monster is special summoned, and lets you special summon a level 7 Flame Swordsman monster from the extra deck, while also flipping a face-up monster on the field into set position. During the enemy battle phase, this card can be banished from your grave, and a set monster can be tributed to special summon a Flame Swordsman or a card that mentions it from the deck or the extra deck. Supporting both Flame Swordsman and Red Eyes, we have Max Metalmorph, Flame Coating Metalmorph, and Time Engine. Max Metalmorph is used to summon specific monsters that can't be normal summoned or set and mention it in their special summoning requirements. This card is then equipped to any monster that it summons, giving them an extra 400 attack and defense points, and protecting them from either being targeted or destroyed by spells or monster effects. Flame Coating Metalmorph tributes a monster that mentions Max Metalmorph to special summon another monster that requires Max Metalmorph from the deck. The newly summoned monster is then equipped with this card, which allows you to destroy this card in their place if that monster would be destroyed by battle or card effects. And Time Engine is always treated as a Metalmorph card. If a monster you control is destroyed, you can special summon it, and if it was a level 5 or higher machine type, and you have a Metalmorph trap on your field or in your grave, you can destroy as many enemy cards as possible, and then burn your enemy for your special summon monster's attack points and damage. So basically, they destroy your card, you bring it back, wipe their front row, and then hit them with the full force of the card that they thought they succeeded in destroying. Talk about backfiring. For Gearfried, we have Phoenix Gearblade, which equips to warrior or fire monsters, giving them 300 extra attack points. If the equipped monster is attacked, you can send this card to the grave to give each of your warrior and fire monsters a second attack that turn. If this card is sent to the grave or banished to activate a monster effect, you can add it back to your hand. So in theory, this card could be used to repeatedly trigger the Gearfried monster special effects. For our Gemini monsters, we have Gemini Ablation, Supervise, and Catalyst Field. Gemini Ablation is a continuous trap that lets you discard a card during your main phase to either special summon a Gemini monster from the deck with its effects already unlocked, or you contribute a Gemini monster to special summon a Fire Warrior monster from your hand or deck. If you did this by tributing a Gemini monster that already had its effect unlocked, you can also destroy 1 card on the field. Supervise can be equipped to a Gemini monster to automatically give it its effects without resummoning it. If this card is destroyed, you can special summon a normal monster from the grave. And Catalyst Field is a field spell that lets you summon a level 5 or higher Gemini monster without tributing once per turn. Additionally, you can perform a Gemini monster's second summoning each turn, in addition to your regular normal summon. You can also banish a Gemini monster that you control that already has its effect unlocked until the end of your opponent's next turn in order to destroy an enemy card. And that does it for our main deck. Moving on to the side deck, we have a lot of Legacy Joey cards, along with a few new faces that fit with his style. Let's start with some old favorites like the Time Wizard and Jinzo. Time Wizard was a gift from Yugi and has a 50% chance of destroying all enemy monsters on the field, or a 50% chance of destroying all of your monsters and burning you for half their attack points and damage. Jinzo, which is probably the most competitively viable card Joey ever owned, disables all traps when it's on the field. Now back in the day, Joey used cards like Fiend Mega Cyber and Guilty of the Dark Knight, which we're going to say that he's upgraded to Psychic Mega Cyber and Guilty of the Dark Knight Soul Spear. Psychic Mega Cyber can be special summoned if your opponent controls more spells and traps than you do. When it declares an attack on an enemy monster while you control Jinzo, you contribute this card to place that enemy monster in your opponent's back row as a continuous trap. Guilty of the Dark Knight can be special summoned without tributing if you control no monsters. When it's normal summoned, you can banish a stronger enemy monster. You can also discard one card to add a level 7 Dark Dragon, a level 6 Dark Machine, or a level 5 Water Warrior to your hand. Speaking of Water Warriors, there's the Legendary Fisherman, a card that Joey won during the Battle City tournament from Mako Tsunami. Its primary effect relies on the field spell Yumi, making it essentially worthless in this deck profile, but it can be searched off of Guiltia, making it a useful fusion material unit. Also, we've already mentioned that Joey used to run the adorable baby dragon, who we're gonna say is all grown up and has become 100 Dragon. Once per turn, this monster gains levels and 100 attack points for each card you control until the end of the turn. If this card is sent to the grave, you can protect a monster on the field that was summoned from the extra deck from being destroyed once. We've also got 2 Dragon Ruler cards, Blaster, Dragon Ruler of Inferno, and Burner, Dragon Ruler of Sparks. Blaster lets you banish 2 fire or dragon monsters from your hand or grave to special summon itself. At the end of an enemy turn, you can return this card to your hand. You can discard this card and a fire monster to destroy one card on the field. If this card is banished, you can add a fire dragon monster from your deck to your hand. Meanwhile, Burner, Dragon Ruler of Sparks, lets you discard itself and a dragon or fire monster to special summon Blaster, the Dragon Ruler of Infernos, but it can't attack. And making its return from Joey's duel with the Orichalcos Biker Valen, we have the ritual spell Red Eye's Transmigration and its corresponding monster, Lord of the Red. Lord of the Red has 2 once per turn effects that activate when a card or effect is activated. The first lets it destroy a monster on the field, and the second lets it destroy a spell or trap on the field. And the remaining 5 cards in this side deck all enable the gambling addiction Joey inherited from his father. Roulette Spider, Second Coin Toss, Gamble, Fairy Box, and Head Judging. Roulette Spider lets you roll a die and has a different effect depending on which number it lands on. Second Coin Toss lets you redo a coin toss if it doesn't go your way. Gamble can only be used when your opponent has 6 or more cards in their hand and you have 2 or less. Toss a coin, and if it lands how you call it, you draw until you have 5 cards. But if you call it wrong, you skip your next turn. Fairy Box lets you toss a coin when your enemy attacks. If you call it right, the enemy monster's attack points drop to 0. This card requires 500 life points each turn to maintain its presence on the field. And Head Judging activates when a monster effect does. You can make the activating player toss a coin, and if they call it right, this card goes to the grave. But if they call it wrong, their monster's effect is negated and you take control of it. That does it for the side deck. Moving on to the extra deck, we have good old Flame Swordsman. Its fusion materials aren't in this deck, so it relies entirely on support spells to be summoned in this profile. This card has also adopted a pet, Fighting Flame Dragon, which fuses a dragon monster with a fire warrior monster. It can equip itself to a monster that you control. If it's equipped to a Flame Swordsman or a monster that mentions it, that monster gains 700 attack points and can attack twice per turn. But we're not done yet, because Flame Swordsman and Fighting Flame Dragon can fuse to become Ultimate Flame Swordsman. It can target an enemy monster and destroy it while burning them for 500 points of damage. If this card is equipped to another card, it gains the quick effect that if it battles, its attack points can double until the end of the turn. But if you use this effect, you destroy this card at the end of your turn. We've also got the Ferocious Flame Swordsman, which is a Link 2 monster that requires 2 different monsters to summon. All warrior monsters on the field gain 500 attack points. If this card is destroyed by battle, or by an opponent's card effect while it's in its owner's monster zone, you can special summon 1 non-Link monster in your grave, but banish it when it leaves the field. The next card is another one that's still exclusive to the OCG but we'll be getting later on this year, Flame Tongue, the Burning Blade. This Link 2 monster requires 2 fire monsters to summon. Your face-up spells and traps can't be destroyed by enemy card effects. You can also add a banished fire monster to your hand, but you can't activate it or its effects for the rest of the turn. Changing gears, we've got Super Alloy Beast Raptinus, which is summoned by fusing 2 Gemini monsters. While it's on the field, all Gemini cards automatically gain their effects without secondary summoning. The Time Wizard that we mentioned earlier also has an upgraded form, the Time Wizard of Tomorrow, which fuses Time Wizard with another effect monster. Once per turn, you can toss a coin and automatically destroy as many monsters on the field as possible, and calculate half their attack points and damage. Then, if you called the coin toss right, your opponent takes that damage, but if you called it wrong, sorry to say, you take the damage instead. Another upgraded form in this profile is Jinzo Layered, a rank 6 Xyz monster. It can detach a material from itself to take control of an enemy monster until the end of the turn, but it can't activate its effects or declare an attack. If there's a trap on the field, you contribute one monster, perhaps a monster that you stole from your opponent, to destroy one face-up card on the field. For the Gearfried archetype, we have Guilty Gearfried, the Magical Steel Knight. It combines two warrior monsters of different attributes, and, once per turn, when an effect activates that targets this card, you can negate the effect and destroy a card on the field. If this card was summoned using only materials that were already on the field, it can attack twice per turn. When it battles an enemy monster, you can banish a spell from your grave to add half the current value of Guilty Gearfried's defense points to its attack score. For the Dragon Rulers, we have Blaze, Supreme Ruler of all dragons. It can detach one unit to destroy a card in your hand or field, and a card on your enemy's field. You can banish two monsters that are either fire and or dragon monsters from your hand or the graveyard to special summon this monster from your grave, but return it to the extra deck when it leaves the field. And of course, that just leaves us with the Red Eyes cards. Archfiend Black Skull Dragon and Meteor Black Comet Dragon are retrains of Black Skull Dragon and Meteor Comet Dragon from back in the day. Archfiend Black Skull Dragon fuses a level 6 Archfiend monster with a normal Red Eyes monster. If it battles, enemy card effects can't be activated. If damage calculation is performed, you can target a normal Red Eyes monster in your grave and burn your enemy for its attack points and damage before shuffling it into the deck. Meteor Black Comet Dragon fuses a level 7 Red Eyes monster with a level 6 Dragon monster. If this card is fusion summoned, you can send a Red Eyes monster from your hand or deck to the grave to burn your opponent for half its original attack points and damage. If this card goes from the monster zone to the grave, you can special summon a normal monster in your grave. Red Eyes Slash Dragon fuses Red Eyes Black Dragon and a warrior monster. When a Red Eyes monster attacks, you can equip a warrior monster in your grave to it for 200 extra attack points. When a card or effect is activated targeting one of your cards, you can send an equipped card on your field, like the one equipped to this monster, to the grave, negate the activation, and destroy the card that you just negated. If this card is destroyed, you can special summon as many monsters as possible that were equipped to it while it was still on the field from your graveyard. Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon is a rank 7 Xyz monster that can't be destroyed by card effects while it still has Xyz materials. Also while it has materials, it hits the enemy for 500 points of damage each time they activate a card or effect. And if you feel like helping them out and getting rid of one of those materials, you can detach a material from this card to special summon a normal Red Eyes card in your grave. And then, we have Joey's newest and greatest boss monster, the king of this deck profile. Say hello to Darkness Metal, the Dragon of Dark Steel. This Link 4 monster is summoned by offering 2 or more effect monsters with the same type and attribute. It can special summon destroyed or banished monsters to zones that it points to in defense mode without their effects. However, you can't special summon Link monsters for the rest of the turn when you do this. When the special summoned monster leaves the field, it's placed at the bottom of the deck rather than going to the grave. And that does it for this modern Joey Wheeler deck profile. Special mention goes out to the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. I honestly would have given Joey this card, but I imagine that this is something he can only pull out when he's in a tag team match with Yugi and when he has access to the Dark Magician. Still, it's something I'm sure we would have seen at some point if it was around when the anime was still airing. But what do you think of this modern Joey Wheeler deck profile? Do you agree with the cards that we're running here today, or am I way off base? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and if you haven't already, hit the subscribing bell thing if you want to see more modern deck profiles in the future. You can find this deck available on YGO Pro, which you can find down below in the description. A huge shout out to Wham Bam Duel for helping me create this profile. You can find a link to his channel and an explanation video for this deck profile that he made, also down below in the description. Not sure which profile is coming up next, but we've got a few more that we're working on right now, so no matter what it is, I'm excited to be back, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!